And there it is, the truth you wanted. It wasn't that I couldn't save Rufina. I was the one who killed her. Alright, and after a lot of technical difficulties you guys don't have to worry your adorable little heads about. You can check the description to see my first go-around with this, and also the episode I recorded previously, but we're just gonna keep it moving. Basically, it's, yeah. Oop, effed it up. The audio was just, the game audio, not my audio, but it was a little muddy, so we're just going to re-record it. So this is my second time around, so I've already seen all of this stuff, but I'm probably gonna just let you know what I was thinking the first time, or you can just watch it. I'm more than ready. All these years, I've never quite been able to accept what happened here. The life I thought I knew just suddenly came to an end, with us all getting moved to other places, and I still don't even know why. I even tried to come back here just before beginning my training to become a squire, but it had already been demolished. I've been ready for a long time. I want to know the truth. And more than anything, I feel like knowing will let me get closer to you and Rufina. Okay, let's head on in then. Right. Dang, I should have switched to telling Joshua. Should the rest of us wait outside for this? No, actually, I'd prefer if you came in with me. This is relevant to you guys too, in a sense. Yeah, just to see what they say in, like, each other's places. Like, not switch them out, but just swap them around. And I like, you see how small this place looks like on the outside? Like, it could seat pretty much 6 people. It's kind of crazy, because on the inside, it looks like you could fit a whole congregation in here, dude. It's a nice-looking chapel, but definitely way bigger on the inside. It all started 5 years ago. A Jaeger course someone had hired took this place over out of nowhere. By the way, how much do you remember of that day, Reese? Just so I know. I just remember a group of men in black forcing their way through the gate and charging in here. They tied everyone up, took the matron up to the 2nd floor, and then... Next thing you knew, you were in a bed in the hospital in town, right? After which you found out that Rufina and I had come to rescue everyone, and that she had died in the process. Isn't that about right? Mm-hmm. Just what happened, Kevin? All I've heard is that it was the work of someone who opposed the church. But I haven't had a chance to meet you since then, much less to ask you about it. I tried asking Instructor Cellmate, but she wouldn't say a word. And that doesn't surprise me. The Gralsritter's commander can't admit this orphanage was being used as a smokescreen for an artifact that needed sealing away. What? Yeah. What better place to hide an artifact than in somewhere that basically the church's stomping grounds? Here we go. A secret passage. Yeah. Which makes me wonder how many of these... there can't be... Wait! If there was an artifact here, you don't mean... Yep. Below here is a primal ground used to seal artifacts away. Just like the one under Gransel Cathedral. So, there have to be more than one, or more than 2. There may be even more outside of Liberl. Well, probably. There's probably some all over the place. Or maybe, if they want to be thematic, there are only 7. I'm sure you remember. The day it all happened, Rufina and I were due to come back here for the first time in a while. We were both coming from different places we'd been sent, so we wanted to meet up in town and come the rest of the way here together. But then her train was delayed, leaving me in town to wait for her alone. And that was when I got word of what happened. Yep, and here's where the previous interlude left off, in between chapters. All I could think was that you and the other kids were in danger, and so I decided to try and take out the Jaegers here alone. They weren't all that experienced, so fighting them wasn't even hard for a squire like me. Before long, I was able to disarm them all and free the matron and the other kids. Or so I thought. You were nowhere to be seen. I asked the other kids where you were. They told me one of the Jaegers had taken you somewhere else and that you were unconscious. I looked frantically all over trying to find you before eventually stumbling across this place. As for how, you remember how you didn't have your ribbon in your hair when you woke up, Reese? I do. What does that have to do with anything? I found that ribbon in front of the secret passage we've just gone through. And there were new footprints near it too. Made it easy to find the entrance. And I like these Jaeger Corps, dude, or this Jaeger Corps, on top of being experienced, they were super sloppy too. Oh. Anyway, after getting in here, I made my way down this staircase in pursuit of the Jaeger that had taken you. And then this place, a complete mirror of how it was underneath Gransel Cathedral. Which is pretty interesting. Like, you'd think they'd all be built the same, but, yeah. Hey, Reese, do you remember what I was like back when you first met me? Yeah. I was still young at the time, but it's as fresh as if it were only yesterday. That look on his face. He looked like you'd been swallowed by blackness. Like there wasn't a single thread of hope bound to you. It was scary. I kept wondering what must have happened to you. What you must have seen to make you end up that way. What must have happened to me, huh? And Rufina seemed like she knew. Before I met you, I killed my mom. And he's coming clean with this, dude. Maybe killed isn't the right expression. It's not like I directly did it. I still let her die, though. I've still got a responsibility for what happened. Man, that's a lot to carry around, dude. Growing up, it was basically me and my mom for the most part. My father showed his face from time to time, but not that much. From what I understand, he had another family elsewhere. Total scumbag move, but okay, we'll just move past it. But even without him, she did her best to look after me on her own. I loved her dearly. Kids in the neighborhood used to make fun of me for how I talked, which I got from her, but I just beat them up most of the time. Which, I was thinking that this makes more sense in the Japanese version because there's literally no discernible difference between the way Kevin speaks and the way anybody else in the party speaks. And she was always kind. She loved cooking and, yeah, I thought the world of her. When I was 7, my father, who had all the money in the world, chose to abandon her. At the best of times, she was always a frail person, and after that, she grew more and more despondent. Her health suffered. I tried everything a kid could do to cheer her up, but nothing I did worked. And during one winter's day when she must have finally had enough, she came over while I was sleeping and tried to strangle me. Yeah. You gotta feel bad for her, dude. I'm so sorry, Kevin. I failed as your mother. But I'm so tired. I'm so tired. At least this way, the two of us can... Yeah. My initial thought was that she needed a therapist, but it doesn't sound like they could afford one. I guess she figured that if we were both going to suffer, we might as well take the easy way out as a family. But I wouldn't let her take me with her. Before I knew what I was doing, I pushed her aside and ran barefoot out into the snow. I wandered around for a while after that. I couldn't understand what had happened or what she'd been trying to do. Eventually, I could feel myself getting hungry. I thought that maybe she'd been able to clear her head. I made my way back home, nervous as could be, and... Yeah, not something you want to see as a 7-year-old, that much is for certain. It sucks, dude. Sorry for making you listen to all this. Still, I think that's probably when it happened. When my stigma was carved inside me. What? And so, we got this here. Because if Kevin could always just summon a door, underneath Gransel Cathedral, he made them swear an oath that they wouldn't have been able to pass through otherwise. It kind of makes sense when you think about it, because Grantham Cathedral, like, there are non-church personnel wandering about freely pretty much 24/7, whereas down here, you've only really got church personnel running around, so it makes sense for there to just be a door rather than not needing any oaths to be sworn. And this place is also pretty curious, because we know that there are lost arts with elements outside of the 7 represented here, and I highly doubt that the church doesn't know about them, like those, like, what was it, sun, moon, those types of arts. But you gotta wonder where their circles are at. But we're not really worried about that right now, are we? Where are we? Who would have thought a place like this existed under an orphanage? This was where I finally caught up to the Jaeger who had you with him. He probably didn't think anyone was gonna come after him. The second he saw me, he panicked. And putting his gun down, he ran over to this pedestal right in front of us. On it was the artifact that required sealing away I mentioned earlier, the Spear of Loa. What's the Spear of Loa? A malignant spear that transforms the body of its wielder into that of a monster. It's hard to believe something like that could be a gift from the goddess, right? In any case, the cornered Jaeger grabbed it and used it. Yeah, no fun. Definitely not the best outcome. I didn't stand a chance. Much as I tried, I wasn't any match for the inhuman monster before me. He knocked me to the ground, and then went to raise the spear against the still unconscious you. That's all it took. There it is, dude. Kevin. Looking mad with power. My stigma drew all of the spear's power from it into itself, and blasted it, magnified countless times over, into the Jaeger's body. The result wasn't even a battle. Our precious home became a slaughterhouse. By the end, he wasn't even recognizable, just thousands of lumps of flesh strewn all over the floor. After defeating him, my stigma's power was still coursing through my body. I'd never experienced anything like that before. I lost complete control of myself. Yep, enter Rufina. At this point, Rufina arrived, and she seemed to understand exactly what had happened. Using her bowgun and Templar sword, she was able to separate me from you and prevent me from doing you any harm. So they did fight a little bit, huh? And then... yeah. My first go-round, I didn't read too much into that. I was like wondering why she didn't just try to fight him, but it seems like she did, but only enough to get Reese away. Man, when I returned to my senses, I was in her arms, dumbfounded. Her body was full of holes all over, but she hugged me as tightly as she could. That's when she drew her last breath. And I guess Kevin blames himself for these deaths, but it's like there were so many mitigating circumstances. If it weren't for the fact that guilt isn't rational, it's like it would be tough to see how he could blame himself. But yeah, it doesn't, like, with guilt, it doesn't really matter like what the outside circumstances were. No. There it is, the truth you wanted. It wasn't that I couldn't save Rufina. I was the one who killed her. With my own hands. Right in front of you. But you didn't! I didn't want to. Maybe not, but that's just an excuse. If I'd been able to control my stigma's power instead of letting it consume me and fill me with bloodlust, it wouldn't have happened. If I wasn't so weak, she'd still be alive today. That's not all either. Looking at her standing before me at that moment, she reminded me of my mother. She reminded me of Mom when she came to strangle me. Suddenly, this feeling of betrayal welled up inside me, this desire for revenge. So I filled her full of spears. I loved them both. I wanted to protect them both. And what did I do? I killed them both. Me. So, even though Kevin wasn't at all in control of himself, like him being locked away inside of his own body by the stigma's power, he still felt like that betrayal and desire to lash out because of his mom trying to kill him. So it's quite the complex mix of emotions right there. Why? Why did you... Why did I what? Why didn't you tell me this before? 5 years apart and this is the first time you're telling me this? Sorry. I know I should have done it earlier. But now I have, and I'm ready for the consequences. So go on. If you want to avenge her, do it. If anything, it'd make me happy if you did. You're so stupid! What are you? Yeah, Kevin, he was like, I killed your sister, so now feel free to kill me as revenge, dude. Can you imagine? Whew. You think I want to avenge her? That's not why I'm angry at all. Why have you shouldered a burden that great all this time all on your own? We're family, Kevin. Why didn't you ever talk to me? Why didn't you ever let me hug you? Why didn't you let me do anything to help you? Reese. I finally understand. I always thought you were hunting down heretics as some kind of atonement for letting Rufina die. But that's not it at all, is it? Come on, Reese. I finally understand. You don't want to atone for anything. You don't want to get rid of your sense of guilt at all. You... That's right. He wants to be punished for what he did. Yeah. Kevin was hoping to be killed by the heretics he was hunting. Oh, the Lord of Phantasma. Why now of all times? You have my congratulations on making it this far. Beyond here lies the 7th plane, the place of my birth and the foundation of all planes hereafter. Thought so. And judging by how we have to go through here to get there, I was right, wasn't I? Right about what? The identity of the Lord of Phantasma, which was not a surprise to me at this point. I mean, it'd been clear for a while now. Allow me to ask you once again. So, Kevin Graham, do you really want to see the face underneath this mask? Damn right I do. It's time to take that creepy mask thing off and show us who you really are. Rufina Argent. With pleasure. Yep. Not surprising. Rufina? I've missed you dearly, Reese. And as for you, Kevin, I'm impressed you were able to work out my real identity. Really? It wasn't hard. I had a feeling from the start. Okay, I didn't have a feeling from the start. It was way after the start, but way before now, that I landed on Rufina being the only candidate for the Lord of Phantasma. The answer was right in front of my face the whole time, and your every taunt should have made me that much more sure. The only reason I couldn't be until now is because I didn't want to accept the truth. Quite. You always were a weakling. You can imagine how surprised I was when you were able to defeat my strongest knight. You talking about the Blade Lord? What connection does he even have to you anyway? I met him through my work, about 6 years ago. We were enemies at the time, but we managed to reach a compromise of sorts. And he felt he owed me a debt for as much. Alright, so you ended up summoning him in order to have him repay it? It's a crafty move, but that's not so out of character for you. Flattery won't get you anywhere with me. See, this kind of mixes up. The characterization I had in mind of Rufina was like this really nice, purer than pure type of person, but the way they're talking about her now and the way that Kevin is saying that that's not out of character for her as someone who would summon a dead soul to do her bidding, it's like, huh. You never really know a person that you don't really know and haven't really met before. Still, now that you've made it this far, I assume you understand what I'm trying to do? Yeah, and I'm ready. Take me away. Wait! What are you two talking about? I would have thought you worked the answer to that out already, Reese. Do you recall what I said before? Kevin wants to be punished. Then you... I was born here in order to give him the punishment he strives for with his every breath. It was to that end that I recreated Phantasma into its current form and welcomed all of you here. All of this was a result of Kevin's desires. He wanted this to happen. You're lying! Sorry, she isn't. I couldn't tell you why it all actually happened, but what she says is true. No. The seventh plane is likely somewhere made for the express purpose of punishing me over and over. Which, you really, like, you don't even have to think about it too hard to see that in this situation, Rufina is like Satan, and the seventh plane, which I'd figured out by this point was Gehenna, and Kevin, he's just gonna be tortured in the underworld by his own personal Satan for the rest of eternity, which, yeah, very interesting. A fitting hell for someone who let his own mother die and killed Rufina to suffer and rot. And once I'm dropped down there, this'll all be over. Wait a second! Why should you have to do that? You can't be serious, Kevin. There we go. Reese ready to attack the thing wearing her sister's face to save Kevin. Reese? I should be more scared of the fact that she can fly. What do you think you're doing, Reese? That's not a very nice thing to do to your sister. Shut up! You're not my sister! You tell her. How obnoxious would it be to, like, clearly this thing, having this thing pretend to be your sibling? F that. My sister would never do something like this! Never! Reese. You promised me, Kevin. You promised me that you'd never do anything that would make Rufina sad. So what do you think you're doing? How can you believe sacrificing yourself for everyone to make her happy? Reese, stop. Who are you to say it wouldn't? I mean, could you imagine Estelle and Joshua just being able to go about the rest of their lives knowing that Kevin is suffering in Phantasma for all eternity? I might not be the real Rufina, but I'm a very close copy of her. If Kevin wants to be punished, why wouldn't I want to give him his wish? Because that's not how Rufina was at all! She'd never indulge something like that! Not in 1,000 years! Think back to when you first met us, Kevin. You'd given up on the world, like you just wanted to disappear. But did she let you do that? No! She forced chocolate down your throat and dragged you right back into the real world, even when you didn't want to, whether you liked it or not. Yeah, dude. She wasn't about to let him give up on the world. Well, this is a surprise. You've grown a lot more than I was expecting if you're able to talk back to me. Stop talking as if you're my sister! You are not, and I won't stand for you defiling her any further! Well, if that's how you want to do things, perhaps I should invite you in Kevin's place. Me? Yeah, and if it weren't clear by now, like, no! That definitely looks like a tear that opens up to Gehenna. The rest of you can stand by and watch. Ugh. What? It's just like the one that devil used. Which I'm surprised Joshua doesn't bring up the first guy who used it. It's Anguis dude. Reese! Stop this, Rufina! She's got nothing to do with any of this! Oh, but she has. Consider this another part of your punishment. After all, if she suffers for all eternity in your place, that's going to make your suffering all the more potent, isn't it? Please. Go ahead and do your worst! Oh? Reese? Drop me wherever you like. I'll live! I'm never going to let Kevin be alone again! I will come back to him! Fighting words, my sweet sister. We shall see whether you can make good on them. Kevin? Which, you really wish he were, like, in his right sense of mind. Well, like I was saying, you really gotta wish that Father Kevin were in his right state of mind, because if he could break himself out, he probably could have broken Estelle and Joshua out, and that. But yeah, it makes sense. He would just get himself out and then try to go after her as soon as possible. Hey, Reese, hey, up, Kevin. Yeah, dude. Now this place. You okay? Feeling any pain? No, I'm okay, I think. But why are you... I fell through that crack alone. So why are you... You big dummy! Me? What were you thinking with all that taunting? Go ahead and do your worst? Drop me wherever you like, I'll live? And just how do you know you'll live? Oh right, you don't! But... You're a squire, aren't you? A rookie like you with no experience or proper judgment has no business making calls that put her own safety at risk. If you can't promise to never do that again, then you and I both know you're not cut out to be part of the Grolsritter. That's probably what I should be saying anyway, but it'd be real rich coming from me, huh? I'm glad he acknowledges it though, so I'll let you off with that little bop there. Huh? Look around us. This is it. The 7th plane. Wow. Yeah. Gehenna. I like that it looks the part too. But since this place was created for the express purpose of torturing Kevin, you gotta wonder if it was someone who didn't believe in Adios at all, or wasn't a super devout Adios worshiper, would the 7th plane look completely different. Gehenna. Yep, it's just like the Testaments brought to life. And I'm the one responsible for bringing it all. Oh. After all, if there's one place that's possible, it's Phantasma. I don't know how Rufina came back, but she did, with both memories and personality intact. And now I have the good fortune of being punished by one of the very people I wronged. I really couldn't think of a more fitting punishment for a bastard like me. Everything she said was dead on. More than anything, I wanted to be punished. I figured that by accepting that punishment, all of this would be done, and everyone else could go back to their lives. I thought I could be just like her, sacrificing my own life so everyone else could be saved. That wouldn't make her like it. That wouldn't make me like her at all, would it? No. She might have given up her life to save ours, but that was because she was happy to. But that wasn't because she was happy to throw away her life to protect someone else's. It was because she saw literally no other option. With me unconscious, she didn't even have the choice to retreat. There was no way out of this situation without one of the three of us losing our lives. That's the only reason she chose to do what she did. Yeah. She was never the kind of person who would praise self-sacrifice as some kind of virtue. She'd only ever accept it as an option if all the others had been exhausted, and it was truly the only way. Right. But this time, that's not the case. You're here, I'm here, all of our friends are here. If we put our heads together, I'm sure we could have found another way out of here. One where no one would have to die. You must have realized that, and yet you tried to take the easy way out. didn't you? I hate to say it, but yeah, I did. That's a pretty shameful thing for a Dominion to be doing, huh? See? I've got no right to be criticizing you. I'm even less fit to be a knight than you. Still, standing around lamenting my own failings isn't gonna get us anywhere. So if you're up for walking, let's get ourselves out of here. Come again? What are you looking so surprised for? You didn't think I was gonna stay here and accept being punished for all eternity, did you? I like that he says that, because a couple of minutes ago that was exactly his plan, but okay. Well, either that or stay here and wait for Rufina to show up again. Listen here, Reese. I'm not gonna deny that there's a part of me, a big part, that wants to be punished for what I did. Or that there's a part of me that was overjoyed to see Rufina again, however it came to be. But I'm not alone down here. You're here with me, and believe me, that changes everything. As long as you're here, I'm not staying in this hellhole a second longer than I have to. We're getting out of here, you and me, no matter what it takes. Right. Right. All right. Whew. So from here, that about catches up to where we were at before. Actually, no, we're in the exact same spot. So yeah, hopefully this time everything goes smoothly, but we're going to continue on and we're going to go through Gehenna. That's all going to be next time though, so definitely join me then for more Trails in the Sky the Third. Bye for now, guys.